Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Radha Krishna Center. We have seen in many lectures why to do Krishna consciousness, why to come to Sri Radha Krishna Center. I am always insisting, please attend the lectures in the Radha Krishna Center. When there are so many lectures available online, there are so many lectures available on YouTube, there are so many lectures available on Facebook. They can teach you how to do bhakti. But you, unless and until you don't come to any center or you don't go to any temple, you cannot do association of devotees. If you have properly heard all the lectures, one major point has been told you that sadhu sangha, satsang. This sadhu sangha or satsang can be happened only at the center or at the temple. You can do it in your house also. But do you really do in your house sadhu sangha and satsang? You can ask first to yourself. Are you doing so much of bhakti you need not go to any temple? Do you really feel that whatever I am doing in my house is all bhakti and I need not go to any temple or any center? If not, then please come to Sri Radha Krishna Center, have association of devotees, have association of Srila Prabhupada Ji. We will do some Sankirtan, do some Satsang, do some Sadhusang, and learn some Shrimad Bhagwatam, where a soul teaches to another soul, and when a soul teaches to another soul, you get the benefit of, and this, we are having the deities of Sri Radha Krishna, the deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. When you take the darshan of those deities, do some seva of those deities, you will get the bliss, and then if we learn, we will be able to understand Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam more better. For sadhu sang, for getting more energy to the soul, for having the mood of devotion, you have to be in the temple or in the center where you are having the powerful deities which will give you that bliss. The air is there everywhere. But when we require to fill it in a tire, we have to require a certain pressure. And that pressure is available only on a petrol pump or a tire shop, where under a certain pressure the air is filled in the tire. So if you have learned this example, you have gone through this example, or you have gone through this situation where you want to fill the tire with the air, you go to a petrol pump, and under certain pressure, the air is blown into the tire, and then the tire gets filled with the air. That is only the proper procedure. Even though air is available everywhere, you have to go to a certain place to fill the tire. So the God is available everywhere. But for you, if you have to fill it in your hearts, you have to attend the center or a temple, and then look through your eyes, devote your mind to that deities, and then through that concentration, through that meditation, God will enter into your heart. And that is how it is. By calling the name of the God, to the deities, performing puja to the deities, performing arti, performing sankirtan, all these activities will give you a bliss, so that the heart will fill with devotion, and with that devotion, when we will learn Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, and you will be able to understand it more nicely. Only by God's grace you can understand Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam is not a book of this world. It is a book of different worlds. For you to grasp those books, only the God can help you to grasp those books, to understand those books, to get the knowledge, to get the divine knowledge. Only when you associate with the divinity, then only you can get the divine knowledge. And to associate with the divinity, I again say, please come to Sri Radha Krishna Center, get associated with the divinity, and then try to get the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. But for you people to understand, I am making this video lecture. You can go through these video lectures also. But again, if you have to do devotion, if you have to do Sankirtan, which is the only source of devotion in this Kali Yuga, if you have to do association, which is the only source of divine energy, which is the only source of transcendental energy for your soul, then you will have to go to a particular center. You can either go to Miraro temple or any temple where this association has been done. Till then, if you have no so much time, then you will please visit Sri Radhakrishna Center, do some association and do some Sankirtan. Right now, for your benefit, as you are very busy in Maya, I am trying to do some Sankirtan to you in front of you, so that at least by this video you will get the bliss. And my job is to share the bliss which I am sharing with Lord Krishna, my devotion of Lord Krishna, which I am having that bliss. It becomes my goodness, a duty of my goodness to share this bliss with you, so that we will be relieved from the sorrows and grief of this material world. Let's do some Sankirtan. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaurango Gaur Hari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is the bliss which we can share, or which we can experience only when we come to the temple or when we come to the center. Mind my words, unless and until you don't connect it, you require a normal pressure for getting devotion is not suitable for you. You require a very high pressure of devotion, high force of devotion, high intensity of devotion. Previously, you have never done this kind of devotion anywhere. So now I urge you, please come to Sri Radha Krishna Center, be in a bliss and get connected with God. Now I will start with the lecture. First we will do some meditation. Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jaya mudire nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. And this is an ISKCON center which this organization has been established by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was a great saint. He was a sadhu. And when we are getting attached to, or when we are reading books, we automatically get attached to the great sadhu Srila Prabhupada ji. We are getting connected to great sadhu Srila Prabhupada ji. Association means not only to be together, but also be to attach to books, also be to attach to the scriptures which are Shrimad Bhagwat Gita and Shrimad Bhagwatam. And then when we are getting association of, see, man is known by the company he keeps. If there is a good company, good association, he will be benefited by that association. We will try to learn Shrimad Bhagwatam. Shrimad Bhagwatam in the first canto, first chapter, second verse. We are learning Shrimad Bhagwatam, first canto, first chapter, second verse. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavam atra vasutu shivadam tapotrayon mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va Parairishvara Sadhya Rudhi Avarudhate Tra Kritibhi Shushrubhi Stakshnat. We will chant this verse once more for you to understand. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavam atra vasutu shivadam tapotrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kim va Parairishvara Sadhyo Rudaya Varudatra Krutibhi Shushrushuvistakshanat. And we will try to understand the meaning of this verse word by word. And this meaning is given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Dharma means religiosity. Projita, completely rejected. Kaitava, covered by fruitive intention. Atra, herein. Parama, the highest. Nirmatsaranam, of the 100% pure in heart. Satam, devotees. Vedyam, understandable. Vastava, factual. Atra, herein. Vastu, substance. Shivadam, well-being. Tapatraya, threefold miseries. Unmulanam, causing uprooting of. Shrimad, beautiful. Bhagavate, the Bhagavad Purana. Mahamuni, the great sage, Vyasadeva. Krite, having compiled. Kim, what is. Va, the need. Para, others. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. Sadhya, at once. Hridhi, within the heart. Avarudhyate, becomes compact. Atra, herein. Kritibhi, by the pious men. Shushribhi, by culture. Takshana, without delay. And we will try to understand the translation of given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam by his culture of knowledge, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. We will try to chant the purport given by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Religion includes 4 primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation from material bondage. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Eating, sleeping, fearing and mating are the 4 principles of animal life. These are common both to animals and to human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self-realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. Sorry. In the lower stage of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over the material nature, or in other words, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not interested in religion. Churches, mosques or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops and cinemas than in religious places, which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that religion is performed for some economic gains. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes as salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. In the Vedas, the above mentioned 4 activities are prescribed in the regulative way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Shrimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord, who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. They do not compete with the materialistic because they are on the path back to Godhead, where life is eternal and blissful. Such transcendentalists are non-envious and pure in heart. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wishers to everyone, and they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in the center. The contemporary socialist conception of a competition-less society is artificial, because in the socialist state, there is competition for the post of dictator. From the point of view of the Vedas, or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are 3 paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Another involves worshipping different demigods for promotion to the planets of demigods. And other involves realizing the absolute truth and his impersonal feature and becoming one with him. The impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature, and above this is the personal feature of the absolute truth, or Bhagwan. Shrimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in this personal feature. It is higher than impersonalist literatures and higher than the Jnana Kanda division of the Vedas. It is even higher than the Karma Kanda division, and even higher than the Upanishad Kanda division, Upasana Kanda division, because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna, in the Karma Kanda, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. In the Karma Kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification. And there is similarly competition in the Jnana Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. The Shrimad Bhagwatam is superior in all of this because it aims at the supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all categories. From Shrimad Bhagwatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all emanations are relative forms of energy. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time, the energies are different from the substance. The conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates this simultaneously one and different philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra, which begins with the Janma Adhyasya Sutra. This knowledge that energy of the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord is answer to the mental speculators attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conceptions of monism and dualism to the imperfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness, grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different, leads one immediately to the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are those miseries which arise from the mind and body, those miseries inflicted by other living beings, and those miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the absolute truth. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the absolute truth and at the same time in the eternal position of the servant to the absolute. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the lord of all the service, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries. As long as living entity is trying to master nature, there is no possibility of becoming servant of the Supreme service. Servant of the Supreme. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. Over and above, this is Srimad Bhagavatam is a personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of the spiritual life through the mercy of Narada. Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question as to authority. He is the author of all Vedic literatures. Yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods. But in the Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is the total body, and the demigods are the different parts of that body. Consequently, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one does not need to worship the demigods. The Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana and distinguishes it from all other Puranas. The proper method for receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize the transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is Shushrushu. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear ideal, social and political conversations. But when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant. Sometimes professional leaders of the Bhagavatam immediately plunge into the confidential topics of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which they seemingly interpret as sex literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Those who are fit to assimilate this work are mentioned in the sloka. One becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. The intelligent person with the thoughtful discussion can be assured by the great sage Vyasadeva that he can realize the Supreme Personality directly by hearing. Srimad Bhagavatam without undergoing the different stages of realization set forth in the Vedas, one can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramahamsa simply by agreeing to receive this message. And before starting the discussion on this topic, first let us chant the mantra of the Guru and get his blessings, get connected with our Guru, so that Guru will give you sufficient energy to the mind and intellect to understand the verse of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Om Adnyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suthe Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhaveva Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatharine. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We are learning this Bhagavatam from a parampara. Even Bhagavad Gita was told, as Krishna has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, it is my parampara. And in our parampara, the topmost leader is Lord Krishna. Is not an human being. The Lord Krishna himself is the authorized leader of this parampara. Whatever the scriptures have been written by Srila Vyasadeva, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, and we are having the parampara's second authority as Srila Vyasadeva. Brahmaji, who is the creator of this world, Brahmaji is one more authority in this parampara. So like Bhagavan Krishna, Lord Brahma and Srila Vyasadeva, from these three authorities the parampara is descending, and from this descending parampara our Guru Srila Prabhupada Ji has given these lectures and the knowledge. This knowledge is not the speculative mind, but which is coming through this parampara. When some people teaches you MBBS, the course should be of a valid university, and you should have a valid university degree. So when we are learning scriptures, it should be through proper parampara system. When we are learning it from the parampara system, we are gaining the right knowledge of the scriptures. So if you want to have the right knowledge, get connected with Srila Prabhupada Ji, come to Sri Radhakrishna Center, get connected with Prabhupada Ji, get connected with the deities, get connected with the association, get connected with the devotion, and then you will find supreme happiness, which is called as bliss. When I speak the term bliss, it is the supreme happiness which is not of this world, which is not on the top of this world, but which is beyond this any material worlds which are available in this universe. And then we will continue with this discussion what the Srimad Bhagavatam course 1.1.2 verse explains, and what is explained by Lord Vyasadeva to us. Completely rejecting all religious activities, the translation says. We have read the verse. Now we will be confused. Why you are rejecting all religious activities? Here we are not asking you to reject any religious activities. Then what we are rejecting? What the sentence is? Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. That religious activities are to be rejected. That is what is said by the Bhagavatam Srila Vyasadeva Ji. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, because unless and until you don't give up those material activities, you will not be friends with, or you will not be able to understand the Bhagavad Purana, which is highest truth. Unless you are not away from cheating or from bluffing, you are not away from the illusion, you will not come to know the fact. When we go to court, we say, see, Lordship, this is the fact. When we try to convince others, we say, this is the fact, this is the real truth. Don't be under bluff, don't be under cheating, don't be under the influence of cheating, don't be under the influence of wrong misconceptions. Please be with the truth. See the truth in front of your eyes, learn the truth, and then try to do any activity. That is what we always do, and that is what Shrimad Bhagavatam is saying. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. Now, what is materially motivated? Materially means which is of this world. Whatever is of this world is is not the fact. This is not even permanent. This is the false thing. When we are saying ego, we are saying false ego. Why? Because this is ego is of material world. So whatever is material, this is all false. This will not give you any happiness. I have explained many times what is happiness in Hindi lecture also. Happiness doesn't mean some relief in the sorrow. We think that whatever relief we are getting through some instruments on the sorrow which we are having, we think that thing as happiness. That is not the case. First we have to understand what is happiness. Happiness is not, you will not get this happiness in this material world. You will have to get the happiness which is beyond this material world. This Lord Krishna in Shrimad Bhagwat Gita, he himself says or proclaims that this material world is nothing but sansara dukhalayam asashvatam. It is the house of all miseries. And this house is very temporary. But Lord Krishna says, this house is all of miseries. This material world is all of miseries. And this material world is also temporary. This is what Lord Krishna said in Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. So when which is temporary and where there is no happiness, why to get connected on those things which doesn't give happiness to us? We are doing all work, we are doing so much of trouble, we are taking so much of trouble, we are doing we are doing attempts, we are doing a lot of activities where we feel that when we are doing a lot of work, we will get some benefit from that. And we are taking so much of troubles by taking no pain, no gain. That is what we are policy always maintaining. So we are taking so much of pains, we are taking so much of trouble, we are taking so much of efforts in getting some money. And when that we are getting some money, but does Lord Krishna agree that because of this money you will get some sukha or say happiness? No, Lord Krishna doesn't say that. Lord Krishna says that this material world is full of sadness. It doesn't have any glimpse or even a simple small happiness also is not there. Then why we feel happy? That is what we have to understand. This happiness which we think is not the happiness, actually, in true sense, it is just a relief. Whenever we feel hot is hotness, or when we are feeling very cold, this coldness is actually the truth. And that is what always, now the climate is very cold. The whole day the climate will be cold. Now it is in the cold season, we have seen some days where there is a lot of cold. Now what we are having is we are having a sorrow of getting cold. Now this sorrow, to relax the sorrow of certain extent, we are sitting in a heater, we are sitting in a blanket, we are taking a blanket, we are wearing sweaters. Why we are doing that? We feel that this is the sorrow which we are having of coldness. Now when we take the blanket, we are relieving with this sorrow. And we want to relieve with this sorrow, that means we are having some relief, some relaxation. This relaxation is what is called as happiness in our terms in this material world. There is nothing more than this. We are always thinking that, okay, by watching TV, I am having some happiness. No, this happiness is not the true happiness. First of all, it is temporary. Once you off the TV, that happiness is lost. Second thing, this happiness is nothing but an illusion. Whenever we try to take this happiness, what is this happiness is actually relaxation from the sorrow. Full day he is working, full day a person works, full day he takes lot of efforts, but when he comes to watch TV, he feels somewhat relaxed from the tensions or the problems which he have faced. So whatever the problems which are pinching to his mind, he feels that the mind is somewhat relaxed. Even though what we are feeling may be right or wrong, but at least we can say that we are only relaxing. We are not getting any happiness from that. Lord Krishna has already proclaimed that there is no happiness in this world. When Lord Krishna proclaims that there is no happiness, but somewhere there is happiness. But in this world there is no happiness. But how then we say that there is happiness? Because we are under illusion. That illusion is called Maya. You are seeking the happiness where there is no happiness available. But we are making all the efforts where there is no happiness available. We are under illusion that we feel by doing this thing we are getting happiness. By doing, walking around the garden, we feel that we are getting happiness. But that is not the actual happiness. The happiness is actually beyond this world. In this world, what you are getting is only relaxation and relief. In the court also, we don't ask for happiness because the court can't give you happiness. This is actually, in this material world, is said as a jail. It's termed as a jail. In the jail, a person is always getting some facilities. Before, say, if he is doing good work, he will get some more facilities. But there are only facilities. That is not the happiness. Always he is tied up in the jail. He is kept in the closed doors. He is not free to do any activity. And that is what we are facing in this material world. So, materially motivated, means you are illusionary motivated, illusion motivated. You want that kind of happiness which is not the fact, which is an illusion. To come out of this illusion, you have to come to Sri Radha Krishna Center. To be in, and you are motivated to do all the efforts to get this illusionary happiness, not the truth happiness. So all these religious activities which are giving you illusionary happiness, now I will say materially motivated, means what material? Illusionary happiness should be rejected. Now we will try to understand the religious feature which will give you true happiness. We will try to learn the next part of this sentence. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagwat Purana propounds the highest truth. Highest truth means what? Which is not in this world, which is beyond this world. And this is not the higher truth, but the highest truth. Highest truth means the topmost truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in the heart. And to become pure in the heart, you should have first sadhusang or satsang. When you are doing sadhusang, when you are trying to understand the scriptures with the association of a pure devotee, then only you will be able to understand the scriptures and understand the absolute truth, understand the highest truth. Which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion. That is what I am telling. For the welfare of all. This reality is not for welfare of me. It is the welfare of the all. Srila Vyasadeva has given the Bhagavatam knowledge for the welfare of all people. I am just the postman of that message. I am giving you this message so that you can be also relieved from the sorrows. What to be a good friend is to be relieved from the sorrow. If I am helping him in one sorrow, he will be attached to another sorrow. He will be facing another sorrow. But if I am giving him the way how to relieve from the sorrow, then definitely he will use that way, that particular path to relieve from all the sorrows. And that will make him more happy. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Now, why to learn such truth? Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. What are these threefold miseries which are being said in the purport? These threefold miseries are Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik and Adhyatmik. All these threefold miseries by mind or by self, by other people or by climate. These three type of miseries, say by our own self when we are facing guilty conscience or when we are depressed, by some other people when they hurt you by speaking or by hurting you, by beating you or by making case on you. Some other people are troubling you. And when the third is by because of climate, cold climate, warm climate, and what do you say, बाढ़ आती है, flooding and tsunami and cyclones, all these climatic conditions, all these three type of miseries are washed away or are gone just by learning Shrimad Bhagavatam, devoting Lord Krishna, which is the absolute truth. We'll try to read the second part of this verse. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, now what is maturity we will try to learn later, is sufficient in itself for God realization. Srimad Bhagavad Purana is sufficient itself for God realization. There is no difference between Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam explains Bhagavad Gita in more detail, but unless and until you don't know the laws, you cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Law explained is Srimad Bhagavatam. Law proclaimed is Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva. Now who has compiled? It is the authoritative persons. You cannot question the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is compiled not by a common man, not by an English person who has given so much of commentaries in Bhagavad Gita, but not accepting Lord Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is compiled by Vyasadeva, who is a devotee, not even a devotee, but an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. We have heard about certain incarnations of Lord Vishnu. The one of the incarnation is Srila Vyasadeva, and this incarnation of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna has given has compiled Srimad Bhagavad Purana. Remember, this Srila Vyasadeva, sage Vyasadeva, has compiled so many Puranas. Vishnu Puran, Lakshmi Puran, Shiva Puran, Matsya Puran, Agni Puran. There are 18 Puranas. But when he compiled Srimad Bhagavad Puran, after Srimad Bhagavad Puran, there was no any Puran. The last Puran before Kali Yuga came was Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Srimad Bhagavad Puran has been recited by Srila Vyasadeva at the time when has been told by, propagated by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, Srila Suta Goswami, only when Kali Yuga has been started. Because in Dwapar Yuga, in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, different yugas, in these yugas, this knowledge was not required because there was some different type of process of doing devotion. But in the Kali Yuga, there is only one type of procedure of doing devotion. That is, one of the types is understanding the ultimate truth. There are different ways of understanding the ultimate truth. One is the Sankirtana movement, second is the chanting of the names, and third is understanding Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Sankirtana, chanting and understanding Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and just taking prasadam as food and no other way. There is no other way in Kali Yuga. This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by great sage Vyasadeva. See, the Vyasadeva, we have seen his incarnation of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and he is the highest top of devotee. When he has created all those Puranas, he was very much in a depression. He said, how many activities I should do for doing a particular religious puja, for doing a particular pious puja. There is certain common procedure which is called as a vidhi. When we are doing following a particular vidhi or doing some puja, then we get benefits, and those benefits are materially motivated. But when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the sorrow which we are getting from materially motivated things, we are materially motivated, we buy certain things, but those things give us nothing but sorrow. To get away from those sorrows, see how it is. To get away from those sorrows, we have to read Srimad Bhagavatam. Then why to do such pious activities which are giving sorrows? This car which we are buying has a breakdown. When we are doing certain pious activities to buy this car, but when the cars break down, again there is a sorrow attached to it. So why to do pious activities for those things for which the sorrow is attached to it? When car goes under breakdown, car requires maintenance, car requires washing, all those things are done. Cars requires garage and it requires so many charges of petrol. Now petrol is at high cost. A particular car gives you so much of sorrow, but people are doing pious activities to buy a car. A particular flat, you are buying it by taking a loan. It is a sorrow attached to it, that it is loan is attached to it, but still you are doing pious activities for this sorrow. But you are buying the sorrow, you are buying a flat, you are buying a happiness, or you are buying a sorrow. First you have to try to understand. So materially motivated, why it is discarded by Shrimad Bhagavatam? Because that gives you nothing but sorrow and grief. Because whatever relief you are feeling is not actually the relief, that is only an illusion. What we have to do is to get away from this illusion and be with the absolute truth, which gives you, which it keeps you away from these three types of sorrows and gives you supreme happiness. What is the need of any other scripture? Yeah, that is what Vasudeva is also asking. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam's message, what it does, why to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam? That it is said, by the culture of knowledge and the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. And when the Lord resides in our heart, will there be any sorrow? Will there be any thief if the police wala is with you? No. Will there be any rape cases if every citizen is having a police wala with, every lady is having a police wala with him? No. When you are protector, if the protector of you, if the Lord of giving happiness, Lord Krishna is called as Satchidananda Vigraha. Satchidananda Vigraha means his deity itself is Ananda. That is why I am asking you, come to Radha Krishna Center, have the deities of Sri Gaur Nitai, who is Lord Krishna himself, has having the deities of Sri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, who is Lord Krishna himself, and have the altar of the Sri Radha Krishna, who is nothing but Radha Krishna himself. When you are getting connected with those deities, Sri Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Sri Radha Krishna, it means you are having all the supreme happiness with you. And when they come to reside to your heart, and when the Lord Krishna is residing in your heart, it means you are getting connected with the happiness which is already in your heart. When you are getting Krishna is in your heart, you are not even fully protected, but also you are getting the supreme happiness, which is not of this world, which is the topmost happiness from the topmost world. And this is what this Srimad Bhagavatam, this first canto, first chapter, second verse all means about. We will try to understand more in detail the purport of this in the next lecture. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We will try to do some Sankirtan. We are having a procedure. Try to learn these procedures of devotion. Try to do this procedure of devotion from Sri Radhakrishna Center. Try to get connected with those deities. Try to do sadhu sangha and satsang, and this Bhagavatam knowledge will be easy for you. You will find more and more happiness and know the absolute truth. And try to be in the truth, not to be in the false. And this is all which I am trying to do. False is having all sorrow. Truth is having all supreme happiness. Truth is not the, कहते हैं ना सच कड़वा होता है. No, सच अच्छा होता है. आप सच material world में use कर रहे हैं. You are using the truth in this material world. That is why it is bitter. But when you come to the transcendental world of Lord Krishna, this truth is supreme happiness. We will do some Sankirtan. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vyasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. And I just want to again claim that these scriptures or this verse which has been taken from Shrimad Bhagwatam, you can try to translate this Sanskrit words into English. You will find the same meaning, same understanding which I have given to you. This first canto, first chapter, second verse of Shrimad Bhagwatam, written by Srila Vyasadeva. Try to understand whoever knows Sanskrit, try to understand these words carefully of Sanskrit. Ask to a person who knows the Sanskrit and he will tell you the same meaning which has been given in this, or same understanding which I have been telling you in this lecture. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Welcome to Sri Radha Krishna Center, and have satsang, have lot of devotional bliss, have the darshan of deities, and have prasadam, which is highly blissful, given by Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.